Welcome to PamoJah Roots. Welcome to PamoJah Roots. PamoJah Roots. PamoJah Roots. Conscious rhythm. Conscious rhythms. PamoJah Roots. PamoJah Roots. Welcome to PamoJah Roots. PamoJah Roots.
Greetings and salutations, Hong Kong Massive. This is PamoJah Roots, and we are in Eton Hotel. I just started in another way, like I thought it was not recording, but I think it's recording. So, yeah, welcome once again, and you're live with PamoJah Roots podcast, and I have a very special guest today. But before that, I just want to say a big shout out to Eton Hotel and Eton Radio for giving us this platform where we educate, elevate, and entertain and know people where they come from. Like, we like their stories on IG, on Facebook. We like their stories, but do we really know the story behind those stories? So we want to know that today. And so I just keep it short. Like, Eton is on 380 Nathan Road, in between Jordan and Yaumate. 4-star hotel, very good place. It has a food hall where we are in. Very different type of restaurants. It has the buffet downstairs. You can see behind us. And they have rooms for rent. I mean, you can stay here on the weekend. They have staycations. They have summer packages. They have a bar on the 4th floor, which is called Terrible Baby, which have they have DJs every weekend. I was there last weekend with Rewind Selector. And so every Saturday and Friday, they have DJs coming through. So you better come here one day and check it out. And so PamoJah Roots, yeah. PamoJah means together in Swahili. And roots is where we all come from. So PamoJah Roots means that we all come from the same place, the same roots. We could be in the same forest, different trees, but same roots. And so today my guest, I'm Rahyym. And today my guest is Robin, also known as Obeahmix. Man, I don't know where to start when I want to talk about this guy, because he's one of the most hardworking, humble guy, honest guy I've ever met, you know, in Hong Kong and also in my life. You know, like, you could meet people who you could work together, but ever since I met Robin and we've worked together, it's been really great. We worked together. We have done many events, actually. Since I came back, we've done events together. That is reggae events, African events, and freestyle events. And some events we were even stopped midway because of the pandemic. I remember we did one, was way back, was in Kuntong or something.
Yeah.
In like a warehouse, and I just started like 20 minutes in my set, and boom, the 5-0 were there, like, hey, you cannot do this. And so we've been together, and then there was an opportunity he put me on, and this was to work as as a tutor for DJing, like teaching kids how to DJ, and this was through Songs Incubator. So shout out to Songs Incubator for putting me and Robin, because we worked there for like a year,
At least,
almost.
Yeah.
And we were teaching kids how to DJ, and they also had other classes about music production. In the end, we did a mixtape here at Eton Radio. We did another mix at
FMB.
yeah, FM Below Ground. So shout out to FM Below Ground too for giving us that platform. And apart from that, when I was back in Kenya, Robin was teaching the homeless how to DJ at Impact Hong Kong. And when I came back from Kenya, I was like, hey, bro, I have to come and help you out with that, because I also want to volunteer and do this. And we ended up teaching the homeless how to DJ on Mondays from 4 to 5:30, I believe, or 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Something like
Yeah,
that. So we did that, and we DJ together. Like, he put me on to DJ at Soho House. I can say right now that I'm the only Kenyan DJ who's DJed at Soho House in Hong Kong, and there's no any other DJ. So I can proudly say that, you know, and it's because of you. So, my man, I'm really, really happy to be here,
So
to
am
have
I.
you in my podcast, because you have inspired me so much. When you came and you took over the scene and whatever you do, I'm always checking you out, and I'm like, wow, this guy is really out there doing it. And I'm really, really happy that you are doing things the way they're supposed to be done. And you know, it's good to see when other DJs look out for you and you know, call you up and check how you're doing. And we've been friends. We share so many things in common. I could say moral ethics, food,
Yes.
music,
Music.
and I think, yeah, many things, man. We do share,
Yeah,
because when we
yeah.
sit down to talk, we actually started this thing late because we had a lot to catch up.
Right. Yeah.
We had a lot, but anyway, we'll catch up after this.
Definitely.
So, my man, PamoJah,
PamoJah.
and welcome to PamoJah Roots podcast.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
so,
I
you want to
ca-
say something?
What an introduction. I have to say, I don't know. Thank you, Rahyym.
Yeah, man.
Those words very kind. I haven't had such kind things. I don't know. It made me feel. You make me feel really happy right now. And
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. You're a
happy
great
for
guy.
this friendship, man. I'm really happy.
Yeah.
I feel this is a good thing, you know.
Yeah,
I don't know. We,
man.
like you said, we connected on so many levels, and I think it
Yeah.
happened almost immediately too.
Yeah,
I can say that much. When you came over to our place in Sai Kung when we first moved to Hong Kong,
yeah,
I remember just like we're in the kitchen,
yeah.
and I was like, man, this guy I know will be a friend.
That's true.
So
I
it's-
remember one thing when Shayla asked you, my wife asked you, like, who's your best rapper? And you're
Yeah.
like, KRS-One. And she was like, what? And also, mine is also KRS-One. We were like,
Yeah,
what? Yeah, that was one thing.
Rahyym and all these guys, right?
Yeah,
Right.
that's
yeah,
true.
but Keras, I remember that.
Yeah, man. And we are also age mates. I mean, we only apart a few months.
Mm-hmm. True.
Few months. It's not that far
Yeah.
apart.
Yeah.
So we are in the same level. Now we are getting older, wiser.
yeah. I don't know about that. Older for sure.
Yeah, man. So, yeah. So I would like to know, because I know you. We've
Yeah.
talked about all this, but I would like the audience to know who's Robin, who's Obeahmix. How did Obeahmix come about? So perhaps you could take us way back to like where you're born, how you're raised, like how many languages do you speak, and
All right.
yeah,
All right. Born, pronounced Regina. Born in Regina,
okay,
Saskatchewan.
okay,
Long word there. That's in Canada.
right,
So in this kind of like the middle of Canada, no man's
Okay.
land, flat, sea as far as the eye can see, cold. And when I was about 9, the family moved out to the West Coast,
okay,
and then I spent most of my between the age of 10 to around 20 on the West Coast, and then moved out by myself to Toronto, and
Oh.
that's where I spent the next probably decade of my life. And yeah, just growing up Canadian, I speak French a little bit.
oui,
Oui. And I speak a little Bangla, Bangla is the language from Bangladesh.
Okay.
Not much, but a little. And
Just to get by.
Just to get by. Same with a little, even less Cantonese. Just having been here, I wish I could speak more of both of those languages. That's definitely on my list of never having gotten time to do. So, but
Okay.
yeah.
So, how many siblings do you have? Like, are you the firstborn? I know you're somewhere.
Somewhere in the middle. Yeah.
okay.
There are 5 other of us weirdos walking the planet. So there, yeah, I have an older sister, 2 older brothers, and 2 younger sisters.
Oh, nice,
yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
So, what was it like at your home, like growing up as a kid? What kind of music did you guys listen to? Did you have like different variety, or was it who was in charge of the music?
Good question. I wasn't. I would say like my mom and dad, not so like. Okay, my mom definitely loves music. She could play piano.
Oh.
And wanted us to do the same. Like tried to get us into it. I would escape, no matter what. I remember one time I told the piano teacher I broke my fingers, so I couldn't come to practice because I wanted to go hang out. But then, of course, I didn't tell my mom I didn't break my fingers. And then the piano teacher called my mom to be like, well, apparently your son broke his fingers and hasn't been coming to lessons for the past few weeks.
What?
So, yeah, that was the beginning and end of my piano lessons. But yeah, in terms of the household, my parents would put on like just vinyl records on the turntable now and then, but it was nothing I really paid attention to much. It was just like it was all background music to me. But they loved their classical music, and I remember some Romanian singer was big on their list, and the Beatles, because my mom's from the UK, and my dad just into anything. But yeah, it wasn't really until probably junior high school when I was, I think, around the age of, I don't know what the age was, grade 8. I don't know what age that is. I'm guessing around 12, 13.
Our system is totally different.
Totally different, right?
Yeah, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah. But it was then I was like, what's this beat? And it was hip hop, and I was like, this is and by then, actually before then, it was probably when I was 8 or 9 that me and my brothers would, when we lived in Saskatchewan, where I was born, in the hot summers we'd chase each other around with like water guns, like the little squirt guns, not these big things you have today, but like the little hard plastic, like really brittle hard plastic that like break if it touches the concrete, like it's just like back then it was so, I don't know, it's just a different thing. And so we chased each other trying to squirt, and the water would be like, I'd have the bad one.
Yeah.
But I distinctly remember, and so do my brothers, we'd be singing Public Enemy, chasing each other around, like squirting each other with water. I don't know why it was Public Enemy, like
Fight the
power, like squirting. Yeah, right. So that was without even knowing what it was. That was probably my first introduction to hip hop. And then when I was outside of my parents' influence, like of all those records that they play, it was junior high school, like grade 8, that I started getting to start just by my own self, like started being like, I like this song. Who is this artist? And really coming into music by myself. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what was your dream as a kid? What did you envision yourself being as you grow up? And what did your parents, want you to be? Because it's usually different things.
They never had any pressure on me to be anything.
You're just there.
I was number 4. I was number 4, and they were happy I was quiet and not causing too much trouble, I guess, So they had other things on their mind, I guess. But I know my mom really tried to push me in the direction of art, like just sketching, drawing, doing that kind of thing, and music, like that kind of, not too heavy into music, but like more on the art side.
Nice.
My dad was never pushing me into anything at any point, except for just graduating. that was his emphasis. Just
Mm.
finish school
Yeah.
before you do anything. That was really, really, really important. And
Nice.
yeah, I dreamt of maybe like something art wise or nature wise. I was always in the forest, running
Ah.
around, like always grabbing like whatever I could find. You know what I mean, in the woods and exploring
Mm.
and stuff. So it was good.
Oh,
Yeah,
you wanted to be a ranger?
yeah. Maybe actually a forest ranger or
Mm.
some kind of, I don't know, something to do. Yeah, something to do with it. I never really thought of it as work. You know what I mean? Like
Ah.
I never really like it never computed to me like this would be or what kind of thing would I do to earn money related to
What you
what I
do now.
just love doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And I guess not thinking about those things, I never really did. I never really got into that line of work. So,
yeah. Nice.
so yeah.
And then you just turned out to be like whoever you felt was your direction.
Yeah, a lot of floating around and
Mm.
not really, not really figuring things out. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So at this point, as a teenager, were you like, after listening to hip hop, did you like become rebellious? Like, did you, start sagging and wearing the puff jackets and getting the blunts out and?
Ah, man, I never really had that much style. I definitely got the blunts out.
Okay.
Nothing. This is
Yeah. It's
depend
okay.
depends
It's
on
all
who's
done.
listening. But yeah, it's in the past. But yeah, I spent a lot of my high school days in a blaze,
Mm.
in a haze. So, but yeah.
So after high school, was this at this time? Did anything about DJing really come up to you? Because I know you have an
Mm.
older brother who's a DJ,
Mm-hmm.
and big up to him, right?
Mm-hmm. Zach Santiago.
Zach, yeah.
So yeah, big up, Zach.
So how did it come to be? You listening to hip hop and then seeing your big brother. How did he start? Like, did he just have equipment in his bedroom and you're like, what's this? Or was it always there?
All right, so without speaking too much for Zach or anything, from my perspective of my older brother, he was the rebellious one. He's the
Mm.
eldest son. He was always getting in some kind of trouble with either my parents or the law or whatever. So like I grew up with that lesson.
Mm.
So maybe that's why I wasn't so
Ah.
rebellious. I snuck under the radar. I was able to do a lot of things. He blazed the trail in a lot of ways. And he took the hard road, but he's highly successful. He's great at whatever he does. He came back one day. He used to play drums and be in bands and all kind of things, and then he got into DJing and radio, and then he started promoting one of the first, if not the first, hip hop night in Vancouver at the time, and this is back mid '90s,
Mm.
so it was super underground Canada, right? Like,
Yeah.
of course, the proximity, like we're close enough to the States, but different culture, but it was
Mm.
still trickling in, and there was still there's still a good enough following, like in terms of there you had b-boy culture, you had
Mm.
graph, like
Graffiti.
people, yeah, graffiti, people just doing all the elements, right? But small,
Mm.
small, and the city's small, and so I don't know how or why he started this night, but it was a great night. Some of the best DJs, like turntablists, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I was just a teenager, and he's like, hey, just bringing me along, you know? And I was able to sneak in and carry the crates of records and
Yeah.
get into the club. And being that age, I'm not really there for the girls. The girls weren't there for me. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And all I could do was just sit back in the shadows and watch. And
Mm.
like, all I wanted to watch were the DJs because they were doing shit with like
Mhm.
the decks that just blew my mind. Before that time and around that time, I was still listening to radio and hearing these some of the same DJs on the radio. So I'd put the cassette in and push record on the Tuesday night from midnight to 1 a.m. I should be sleeping, but I'm like recording. And that's what you do when you're in love, I guess, right?
Yeah.
That's what I did. I just wanted to be around it all the time.
Nice.
It wasn't it wasn't I wished it was girls. I had nothing, still don't really, but in terms of like being able to walk up to a girl and know what to do, but like in terms of music,
Yeah.
that's where my eyes and ears were. So
Wow, man.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
as a teenager, watching your brother do that, did he get in trouble with your parents?
yeah, man. Yeah.
But they didn't know you snuck out with him. No.
Well, I think he was past the point of like my parents knowing what to do or being able to do anything about it. Like he was already blazing his own path, right?
Mm.
So if he was like, "Hey, help me sneak out or get steal my parents' car for the night," I would do it. I would I would open the garage door, like it's
Yeah.
either by the motor, like it's like it's super loud and like crunches and like you could hear it reverberating through the whole house, or you could like pull this switch and lift it up manually, like quietly and slowly, like so you won't hear it, and then like I'd hold it and then he would push the car in neutral out,
Yeah.
and then we'd lower the door down, and then we'd push the car up the road to get it far enough away, and then start the engine, and then
Yeah.
take off, and there'd be like everyone's sleeping in the house, and we're driving, like with crates of records down to the clubs.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that's awesome. And
Yeah.
the next day you still need to be in school.
Yeah, if it was a weeknight or weekends
Okay,
or whatever.
weekend.
Yeah,
This was
yeah.
like a Saturday night.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah,
Oh,
weekdays
wow.
maybe it's a radio station. It wouldn't be so late, or was
Okay.
it? Everything was late, man. When you're a teenager, everything's late.
Oh man, oh man. And then, so how did you get into DJing?
um,
Like, did you learn? Did he teach you, or did you teach yourself?
yeah, he gave me tips. And some of the other DJs around would throw a little tip here and there. It was hard to come by because I guess it's like I'm just a kid, right?
Yeah.
And what I did is I actually saved all my I delivered newspapers and stuff to the houses, and cut grass and do whatever I could to save money. And I bought used turntables, techs, and just a really crappy used mixer, bleeding, crossfader and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Didn't matter at that point in time. I just needed to have something to start with, right? And then my
Yeah.
neighbor, I remember him. He actually got me one of my first jobs too. But he was like, "Hey, I got some old speakers," because he knew I was getting into it. So he gave me some old speakers, and like no bass, you know what I mean? Like just no bass, nothing, like no.
Flat.
Yeah. So I had this setup, and I was just playing in the basement, like just trying to teach myself how to scratch. No YouTube, no nothing. Like all I had
Yeah.
to go by was listen to the DJs on the radio,
Yeah.
and then just trying to remember the patterns and what the sounds are like, and just trying to like
Yeah.
figure it out. And like some things would click, and I'd be like, oh, and I can't do it anymore. And then, I got it again, and then try and stick with that pattern, and like it was just weird, like now I can go
Yeah.
online and get lessons,
Everything.
from
Everything.
Qbert. It's, so
I'm telling you. So did you watch VHS tapes of these DJs?
no, I wasn't smart enough to figure that out. I knew that now looking back they did exist, right?
Yeah, they had.
So to me, I never clued into that. They had one shop mainly. I think there might have been two at the most
Yeah.
downtown where you could go get vinyl. I'd go like spend every dime I had on like one single
Yeah.
record, and then I'll look at the clothes and I'll be like, man, I wish I had money to buy some clothes too, but the music's more important. And then
Yeah.
they probably had VHS tapes and stuff like there, as
Yeah.
but it never factored in. Like I was just like, I don't know what I was thinking, Rahyym, man. I wish I could go back and shake myself as a kid and be like,
Yeah.
do it this way, man. Like it's way easier.
True.
So,
I
but-
feel the same way. Like, it took me a while for me to like learn how to really DJ properly, because I did like trial and errors, because I taught myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I, at one point in like after high school, and my mom hooked me up with another guy who was like a family friend who had like these old turntables and an old mixer. And then I got these records, and I also would try them, like
Yeah.
anything, You'd find your BPMs are up and down, and I would just
Yeah.
scratch, and I would be in the back room while everyone's asleep. I'm supposed to go to college the next day. Everyone is asleep, and I'm till 1 o'clock in the morning trying it out, trying this
Yeah.
out, try this out. And then, yeah, eventually I somehow learned, and, life lifed itself, so
Yeah.
I understand. So did you at one point, like in high school or university, play for your like the parties? Did you start off at that time, or was it much later?
Actually, I went back to Canada for the first time in 5 years, like after the
Yeah.
pandemic and all that business.
Yeah.
So I hadn't seen people in a long time, right? And even before I left Canada 5 years ago, I was kind of moving around a lot for a few years. So I kind of lost touch with not a few, a lot of people. And so when I was back this time, it was like it was a coming together. A lot of like people just coming out, like myself. I guess everyone just wanted to link up and hang out and meet and be together again, right? PamoJah.
Yeah,
Right? So-
PamoJah, you're the
so-
star, man.
So I had one
Obeahmix.
Obeahmix.
Yeah.
I had one guy come up to me. He's like, "Hey, man, do you know how we first met?" And I was like, "Sorry, I don't. I can't remember." He says it was my house party. You brought your turntables. We needed decks, and you offered your decks. And that was when I first met you. And we had mutual friends, right?
Yeah.
So so that really kind of shook me up. I was like, some things I just have been so forgotten, you know. But when he said this, that rush of memories, I remember that house party specifically. That was during like university era,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, it was a nice party, man. But I remember like some of the other DJs didn't know me. I didn't know them, but I knew the guys organizing the party and whose house it was. Wasn't their house, they're renting it.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I got on the decks that night. I might have. I didn't even matter. I just remember it being a good party. But I remember taking my decks back the next day, and there's some kind of it looked like a blood stain on my decks, and I was like, what the,
What
I mean?
happened?
Yeah. And I was also kind of like, I was calling the guy up, and I'm like, man, you got some blood on my deck, like,
What happened?
this better not. I was kind of, you never know whose blood it is and what's in the blood, right? So I just remember that being a funny part after the night was done, but that was cool. So yeah, I was definitely involved. I can't remember what I've DJ'd or haven't DJ'd, but I was doing radio at that time for sure, like DJing on the radio.
Okay.
Probably-
Which radio was this?
At that time it was 90.1 FM, up in Burnaby, up on a mountain almost.
So what, like
Yeah.
DJing, like just talking regular, like we're talking, like having a show and.
More like yelling and sound effects and soca and dancehall and just
Yeah.
not much talking. Like, yeah, we weren't really in the mindset to really know how to do interviews and stuff. We just knew how to talk a whole bunch of crap
And then just
and
play
yell
music.
and play music and
So you had
Yeah.
like you made a crew
yeah.
of your friends. How many?
At one point, there's probably like at least 15.
15 guys.
Yeah.
And
girls.
And girls. So
Yeah.
this was like a collective.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, we all had our strengths
Mm.
and weaknesses, but we all were there, and yeah, we came together, and it was a good moment in time, man. It was a good few years of just. In looking back again, I wish we could have taken it. We could have harnessed that energy a bit better, because it was special, and at that time there was nothing else like it. So we could have done more.
Yeah.
But that's the case even to this day. It's like, what more can I do? I should do more. I gotta seize the day, you know what I mean? Like, that's
Yeah.
kind of the saying, right?
Yeah.
So
So what were you studying at university?
I was I was looking to just get the easiest degree. So I got.
Did you at this point know that you're gonna be like, I just be a DJ, but I just need to get through uni?
No, 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 no. I was studying anthropology and urban studies.
Oh,
So I had no thoughts of being an anthropologist necessarily, or an urban
designer.
whatever. Yeah, I just knew I had to get that degree. I had to get that piece of paper to say that I finished,
You finished.
and then I could be free. And
And
then after that, I had no game plan.
So while at uni, you had no game plan. You're just playing on the radio with your friends,
Yeah,
going to class.
yeah.
At this time, were you still helping your bro? Because you're already in university. Was he still DJing?
He was on. He started with hip hop, but he gravitated to more top 40. He started doing clubs like he got he's still connected with that, with the original DJs and stuff.
Yeah.
And but where like his, I think he went more, yeah, mainstream.
Mainstream.
But and like hip hop, like top 40 hip hop kind of stuff, club music.
Okay.
I guess underground kind of evolved, right? Like
Yeah.
into more of a club scene as years went by. Anyways, became top 40,
Mm.
and he went that way too. And that's where the money is, right? Like he,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
What about you? Like, where did you gravitate towards? Soccer more, or were you
Yeah,
still
I
general?
man, I love hip hop, but I also love soca and I love dancehall, and
Wait, baby,
Yeah, yeah.
like, how did you get into soccer music? First of all,
Yeah.
maybe you can explain what is soccer music, the origin, and how
Yeah,
did you
yeah.
get into soccer music?
yeah. So soca it's a genre,
Yeah.
let's say, from the Caribbean. So it's mainly associated, I'd say like Trinidad
Yeah.
in terms of the birthplace, right? So, but it's actually it's in a lot of islands. So like Grenada has its own scene, its own style. Saint Vincent, like everywhere's got similar kind of drum pattern. Like you know what I mean? You could almost say you could mix it in,
Yeah.
and it could be a soca night, and people I think would love it. But the music itself, it's like it's hard to describe, but basically the essence, the goal of it was to bring together people of Indian descent and African descent. So it's got so while it has changed over the years
Yeah.
and the topics totally vary, I think the essence, the roots of it, you have in order to be considered soca, you have to have that. And so in that sense, it can't really change, which is great in the way like it can't become something complete. It can't be influenced by what's trendy elsewhere and totally change. You know what I mean? Of course, it can. There's always a conversation with music, right? Across the oceans and across
Yeah.
the lands.
Yeah.
People are always, producers and artists are always influenced by each other.
Yeah.
So you have elements of everything. Like you'll have, it might sound like Afrobeat, and Afrobeat might sound like soca, and that's because people are
Lingala,
they're vibing off each other.
Kizomba.
Right.
Kizomba could sound like something else. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and actually in Hong Kong, I get a lot of that. I get a lot of people coming up to me, but saying like, "I love what you play, man. I love Afrobeats. I love it." And I'm like, and I just say, I do what you're doing right now. I kind of smile and I nod and I go, "Thank you." You know, like, and it's funny to me because it's soca that I'm playing.
Yeah. High energy.
Yeah.
It is high energy.
It is. It can be, but it can also be groovy.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a lot of different things. And calypso is one of those things that's soca's like soca and calypso. Calypso's got its own vibe, and I don't play calypso much in a party, but it's another beautiful thing. You know what I mean? We could talk about that. We could talk about this for forever.
I know.
But it's something that hits home, and I got into it because at the radio station, my brother had a show, and I wanted one, and I started volunteering there, and in the music library helping to organize music and take all the incoming music and all that kind of stuff, and then I helped train people to get their own radio shows and stuff like that. So like any new person, I'd give them orientation, I'd show them around the station, and then they graduated me to then training people on the equipment. Nice. And how to use a mic and stuff, and so I got into more technical stuff, and then I at one point I was like, can I have a show myself? And they're like, sure, what do you want? I was like, I think I want a hip-hop show. They're like, no, there's already like 4 hip-hop shows, you can't do that. It's like, okay, well, can I do reggae or something like that, because I also like reggae music. And they're like, okay. And I was like, okay, well, I don't want to make it just reggae. I want to make it more from the islands, like the Caribbean and a whole, because I don't want to just
focus on
one. I don't want to do that. I like music. So and working in the music library, I was already like getting my hands on so many different types of records, right? Like soca, calypso, reggae, all that stuff. And I was like, you know what, let's open it up. And me and my friend Aaron, big up to Aaron, he's in Santa Cruz.
Okay.
Longtime friend. We got the show started, and then that's where the rest of the crew came in over the years. But it was him and I were the originators of the show, and it's still going to this day. It started in like, I don't know, it's over 20 years ago. It's still going.
2003?
Yeah. So
that's 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Bigger,
More. Longer than that. Yeah.
So this was vinyl.
Yeah. And then we got into CDs before these existed. We're using the decks that have the pitch, like a short pitch like this on the side of the deck, like that.
Yeah, I know,
And the play and pause button. Not this stuff. Like it's like a little box, play and pause. And then you don't have pitch bend or anything, but you had like
plus and minus.
And so we'd mix on CDs on a tray. By pushing play and then changing the pitch on the. It was wild, man. It was, looking back, I couldn't do that. Like today, I would be like, I wouldn't know what to do. But you make it work, right?
Yeah. So this was still in university.
Yeah.
And then you finished university, and then you continued with the show, and then you were doing anthropology. And
in real life.
So now university is done. And then what? Like you decided I'm gonna be a DJ, or did you take time off to think about?
I took I did. DJing's always been kind of off and on over the years. So as I got more into radio, like from there I was doing the show, but then I moved out to Toronto.
Okay.
And I was having a hard time finding work, so I was just like couch surfing, right? And like trying to get by. And then at one point I got really fed up with the winter. I was freezing. I didn't know how to survive. Like it'd been a while since I was a kid in those kind of winters, and Toronto's equally as cold. So I was suffering, and I was you know, and just not being able to find a job. I quit this last job I had, and I had another brother living out there, and he was like, man, what are you doing? And I just bought a ticket down to Trinidad, because one of my friends was living down there, and one of my friends from Vancouver, he had moved back to Trinidad, and he's like, come down. So I just went, and it was during Carnival season, like around February, and I went down for a good, I don't know how many weeks, but we stayed down south in the island, and most of the events for Carnival are up north in the capital, right? But we're down in a smaller part, and I got a job offer. Like I got a phone call for a job that I had applied to before I even left Toronto. So they interviewed me on the phone from a little phone shop, like booth, like in Trinidad, and I'm on this like however much per minute call, and they have this committee on the phone in Toronto interviewing me in Trinidad for a position at this Caribbean radio station in Toronto.
Wow.
So it actually kind of worked in my favor. I think that was actually on the island, like in the islands. They're like, okay, this guy knows. Maybe he'll fit, right?
Yeah.
So I got the job as the music coordinator at the station. So I flew back, and then the more I got involved in radio working, and I got promoted to program manager for the whole station after a while. I lost the hunger to play music because I was around it, like as a manager, working and like trying to be on top of DJs doing their, like watching the best DJs I'd seen in Canada. These guys are all from Trinidad, from Jamaica, from wherever.
Yeah.
And they're having their guests in the studio were the legends
Yeah.
of reggae and dancehall and soca.
Wow.
Like think about Luciano,
Yeah.
Sizzla. These guys were in this radio station, and I'm like the music manager and then the program manager later, seeing the DJs interviewing them on the radio and like getting to meet them, like secondhand meet them, be like, hey, nice to meet you. And,
You're the manager.
Yeah. But I was no longer involved in the music, you know what I mean? I'm more
Yeah.
in management, and that robbed me of like any desire. I want to go home and be away from music. Oddly enough, I was like, I've had enough. I want to go like I needed some separation, you know, some downtime. So that was I was like, you know, the ebb and flow of music, where I was kind of for a few years away from it all, and away from DJing and all that kind of stuff,
Okay.
but still like around it, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Nice. So at this time, like you're the manager of the radio station.
Mm-hmm.
Were you playing outside any gigs, or you just completely stepped back?
Completely stepped back. So I was arranging the gigs. Like I was doing live to air broadcasts for like Calypso Monarchs in
wow.
Toronto. So yeah, it's a huge deal. Like never before had been broadcast live. I brought that to the station where we were able to do remote setups and have our listeners in the community, strong listenership across the city for this kind of music. And then we bring in like some of the best of events to the radio, you know what I mean, so people could tune in from home.
Nice.
And get that kind of promotion going for these events. It was a beautiful time, man. I really loved it. Really loved it. Yeah.
So how many years did you do this? Like, did you at one point decide like, okay, I need to stop this and go back to DJing?
I stopped it to go back to school. Actually, I was like, you know what, let me go back and do my master's. So I did it in music. I forgot what it was. Something in the music realm. Man,
Communication? Mass communication?
No, it was actually like music, not music production, but it'll come back to me. But it was a 1-year program.
Okay.
Over and done like that. Another piece of paper, another receipt to put on my wall that's saying that I completed something. Again, directionless, didn't know where I was going after that. The first job I applied for, I got it.
Oh.
Wasn't the job I cared for. I was just like, let me see what I can get. And I ended up being a media relations like officer for the biggest transit system in Canada, which is like the equivalent to the MTR basically. So like anything, like any train that ran over somebody, because we don't have the safety gates and stuff. And we're talking subway trains and long distance trains, like buses, everything, any transit related thing. The media would call me, the news stations would call me 24/7. Middle of the night, I could be even on a date in a movie theater, my emergency pager, my BlackBerry would beep, 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 beep. Yeah. Start going off, and they'd be like, our train ran over somebody. Here, you get ready. We have a conference call. We have to get all our talking points in order, know exactly what happened, when the train will start running again.
Yeah.
So all the passengers can get to work. what we have to say to the media, because they're going to be asking questions. So I'd be on this call immediately, and then within like minutes, Rahyym, of even I could be on the conference call with all the other departments, minutes of that, I'll have like the national media calling me, like the equivalent. I don't know what the equivalent is in Hong Kong, but like, say like what's a Chinese media company, like China Broadcast,
CCTV,
yes, whatever it is, CCTV. Those guys would be calling my phone and be like, "What happened?" And I'd say, "Well, approximately 3:45 in the morning, a passenger train had an incident, and trains will be there will be delays, blah blah blah." I'd have to speak like word for word, be on point. So like it's high pressure environments, different from just being on the radio DJing, like, or seeing people in like party mode. This is completely this is like professional, don't F up mode. One wrong word and I have the CEO who's connected with the government, because this is a government agency, coming down to the head of my department, the director, who's going to come down on me and be like, "You said one wrong word. We're not doing this, we're doing this." And I'll be like, so like super stressful. Super stressful.
Did you ever mess up?
All the time. All the time. Oh, it's panic mode, man. It's similar to DJing, right? Like every song is a panic. You're like, shit, is this the right song? Everyone's, people vote. The dance floor votes in front of your face. So.
Wow, man. So how many years did you do this?
A few years off and on. I ducked out. I couldn't take the pressure after like a good year or so. I was like, you know what, I gotta step away.
Oh, man.
It was killing me, man. I was green and like 24/7. I was like, the pay was great, but
the pressure.
The pressure was greater.
And the pressure.
So I stepped away for a bit, and then I came back to that job again after a while, and then I stepped away completely. I was like, no, you know what? After the second time, I was like, when you give a abusive relationship a second chance, and then you realize this is not the direction. It's not.
Wow.
And so I walked away from that life.
And then what did you do? Back to DJing?
Yeah, slowly got back into DJing. What did I do after that? Got back into radio. I got a job at another radio station in Vancouver.
Oh.
Again, doing like management. So that was nice. That was different. Stuck with that for a number of years, and then we just took it, like my wife and I, we just took another direction, and we ended up out here.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you, so while you're doing the radio, because I remember, like in our talks before, we've been talking, there's a time you were DJing at a restaurant that had different floors, and you were DJing for them, and you were playing like in the restaurant, like in the evening, and so that was that time you're still working at the radio.
No, that was as we transitioned. So after the radio job, we moved back to Toronto.
Okay.
And then in that year or so of transitioning, like Daniela, my wife, was back at school. She's also a DJ, by the way.
Yeah, big up.
Features, wicked DJ.
I know.
I'm learning more from her than I. Jeez, man, it's crazy. But yeah, she was back in school, career change, and then I was hustling on the side, doing what I could, working like, still doing communications jobs in the day, and then DJing on the side.
And you are also doing some work with. I remember like there's a thing you did for a couple of years. Even when you came, you were doing it remotely.
Yeah. So I was a communications thing. It was for a nurse practitioner clinic. So I was like I was their community like liaison and communications guy. So I'd go out and like try and spread the word that we have some free health care for people who are in need, right?
Yeah.
And so it's interesting. That whole thing was a really fascinating time, man. To know that people who had health complications and are suffering, but we're still kind of like a little on the fence and a little unsure of or not trusting the system. But this is free, you know what I mean? Like we're like,
Yeah.
hey, come here. It's good quality. People will spend time and take care of you. And that
Nice.
was my job to try and.
Convince them.
So to me, that was like, I can do that. I'm down with that. I'm not trying to sell like a phone plan or like, you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
trying to like, get money out of people. I'm trying to help people. You know what I mean?
Nice. So
Yeah.
the first time when your wife, like Daniela, when she told you, "Hey, I got this job in Hong Kong," what was your feeling like? Do I really want to move and go to Asia?
Yes.
Do I want to stay here?
No. It's like choices like E40. Yep.
Yeah.
Nope.
So you just like, let's bounce.
Yes. Let's go. Let's do it.
Mm.
Let's start fresh. We need something.
Okay.
We need this. So we had some choices. We
Yeah.
had like lucky us, right? We had choices. So we could have gone to Morocco, we could have gone to France.
Morocco.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Africa.
Yeah.
Anyway, down there, North Africa, but
Yeah, still
still
the
Africa.
continent.
Though they consider themselves not really. It's
Weird,
It's,
huh?
it's something that you need to really dig deep. Then you'll
Yeah.
understand why the North Africa, they try to stay away from the other Africans.
Ah.
Like they don't really wanna.
Even Libya?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I thought Gaddafi was pushing for like Pan-African.
Then what happened to him?
Well, yeah.
Exactly. So
So
yes, it's that's politics. Anyway.
yeah.
So you came to Hong Kong. This was your first time in Asia.
No.
You had come before
yeah.
to Hong Kong? No.
Shanghai had been in the year 2000.
In the year
Yeah.
2000.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
How was it at that time?
Blew my mind. The biggest city I'd been in was Toronto.
Uh-huh.
It's a little Canadian city, right? It's a
Mm.
few million people.
Okay. I haven't been there, so I wouldn't tell.
Well, it's like a little village, man, if you think about it. Compared to some world cities, right?
Okay.
It's still big. It's still got a lot happening. For Canada, even for North America, it's decent.
Yeah. Everyone knows Toronto.
Yeah,
Raptors.
yeah. I couldn't complain. Coming from Vancouver, Toronto was like the big city, and I loved it. Carabana, which is like the kind of carnival soca
Okay.
music dominates. It's like it's a street party. There's big semi trucks, like massive trailer trucks with sound systems going down the road, truck after truck
Blasting.
after truck with massive sound, like body moving bass, like you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
you're standing next to that truck, and wow, there are 1 million people in the street. I'm not even
Nice,
exaggerating.
man.
1 million people partying by these trucks to soca music.
Soca music.
Soca.
So, like we all know, when you, like for example, when I started listening to more of reggae, with time I could start understanding patois. Like I could listen to a song and understand like from beginning to end what they're talking about.
Nice.
Of which, I guess people who just listen dancehall or reggae just for the fun of it, they wouldn't know
Right.
what they're talking about. They'll just listen to the rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
So while listening to soca, did you learn what they were talking about, the language manipulation, the slang they were using, like bangarang and stuff like that? I remember you put me on that, like, oh, bangarang. I'm like, what's that? Then you explained to me. I remember. Then I had Buju Banton say it on
No way.
his song with the one which he did recently with DJ Khaled, the one with Sizzla,
Oh yeah. The big.
Capleton, and,
right.
and he's like bangarang, blah 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 blah. So did you like learn the
lingo or whatever.
the lingo? So what lingo do they use in soca? What languages?
Oh, it's all English.
It's all English, but it's
Yeah.
like patois English because it's not straight English. Some words they use are different.
Yeah. I guess. Well, I can speak to like, in terms of like Grenada, right?
Okay,
That's
okay.
this island Daniel's dad is from, right? So we spent a bit of time down there, and it's even different from island to island. I can say that much after having been in Trinidad. I've never been to Jamaica or anywhere where else, but I know people from different islands as well.
Yeah.
Barbados and stuff like that.
Yeah.
All different accents, right? Everyone, like, it's the world, right? It's English. We all speak the way we speak,
Yeah.
right? It's no real accent, I guess. It's just we're talking, right? But um, but the different influences, right? So different languages in Grenada. You have a history of French, and then English. So you have words that are French kind of origin.
Yeah.
Of course, there's obviously African origin words, and then Indian, right? So there's a lot of cultures that have been really dominant presence, like have a dominant presence in these areas, and so then you get a whole mix-up of the influences in terms of the language, right?
Yeah.
So it's just being aware and being around it and listening, like you, right? Like you listen to it
long enough.
Yeah, you piece things together. You realize, oh, that's something I've heard before, but from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Or that's new to me, and that's like, it sounds nice, and I like it.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a beautiful thing, right? I think it's you know, if you can listen to it and understand it, all the better. To me, I still don't know like a lot of what's going on in some songs because it's just
soca or
mostly dancehall.
Dancehall.
I'd say because like it's, I mean, a lot of the lyrics are fast, or a lot of the lingo is like, I'm not as close to it, you know, especially being on this side and and like the latest stuff, you know what I mean? Like there's always new
lingo
stuff coming out. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not really up to speed. It's hard to stay up to speed, man. It's hard.
Yeah,
you know, it's hard enough to just learn Cantonese. You don't find the time to do that. But I mean, listening to music is great. I love it. I love it. I get most of what's being said. But
cool, man.
Yeah.
So when you came to Hong Kong, I think that's when we met. Yeah. Not I think, that's when we met. But did you experience any culture shock? Like you arrive Hong Kong and you're like, wow, totally different from Toronto, or you know, that part of the world.
Well, yeah, it's different, but I don't know what I expected. I think the culture shock was coming to Sai Kung. That's where that was our first stop, and that's where we've been ever since.
Yeah.
So my impression before coming, my idea of Hong Kong was whatever I had seen
in kung fu movie.
Yeah, like big tall buildings. Not necessarily kung fu. No, I don't was expecting people coming kicking out of the out of the rafters and stuff. But just in terms of like the scenery, right? Like I expected, and I saw what I expected coming out of the airport and driving out. But then the closer we got to Sai Kung, the more I was like in shock. I was like, man, there are cows in the road. Like where? And then we went onto a gravel road, and we pulled up to this like little 3-floor building, and they're like, okay, you're gonna be staying in here for a week, and then you find your own place, and it's all like jungle and stuff around, right? Like, I'm like, what the hell? What did we just get into? You know what I mean? Like, okay, this is humble. This is nice. I can do it. Daniela she's more of a city girl, but I was, you know, me, like I said, like I was in the forest and stuff growing up, I was fine, but it was not really this. But the people, man, like people are people, and I came here to be like in Hong Kong. Yeah. You know, and I didn't come here to be in an expat bubble. So, but that goes with the package, right? Like, of course, I know a lot of expats, and I DJ in clubs that are like full of expats as well. But also like when I'm day to day and stuff, I don't want to just go to eat Western restaurants and like hang out with expats all day and every day. It's like I came to Hong Kong. This is if I'm gonna call this my home, I'm gonna try and be more part of it and make an effort. You know what I mean? So
true. So did you do any research before you came about the music, the scenery, what to expect? Were you expecting to come and like DJ, or was that in back of your mind like I'm gonna DJ in Hong Kong?
I can't remember. I think yes. I think so. Yes, because it was. But how, I didn't know. And and where I get the failing grade is, I think, like I haven't done enough in terms of like going back to like being in Hong Kong. I haven't done enough. I know that. I acknowledge that. Like I could do better with the language. I could do better with being more in Hong Kong. But in terms of DJing, I've pushed myself like to do more and more and more. And you were a big part of that when I first came. You were one of the first people I connected with. I remember specifically researching like dancehall and soca in Hong Kong. And I don't have a Facebook account. Daniela does. So I was going through her Facebook to see like what had been posted. I had only recently set up an Instagram. I never was on social media before.
Yeah.
So I was really disconnected, and I was trying to connect.
Yeah.
And the internet's not the best place. Like Google wasn't pulling up much. But I think I saw one of your things on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And I don't know how I linked, if it's through Facebook.
You sent me a message.
Yeah.
On Facebook.
Yeah.
And then I saw the message. I'm like, oh, this is Robin, blah blah blah. I'm new in Hong Kong, just checking out the scene. Would you like to meet up? And I'm like, yeah, sure, man. Why not? Actually, next Tuesday I'll be going to Tom Lee to check out some stuff. Do you want to join me? And you're like, oh yeah, where is that? That's in Chimchachui. You've been to Chimchachui? No.
Nope.
Yeah, okay. And I think that's where we went to Tom Lee. After Tom Lee, I took you to Chungking.
Yes.
Chungking, that's when we had some tea and we had some food, and you're like, wow, this is like more now like home, like all the people around, like Africans, Indians, everything, like it felt more homely.
Yes.
I guess so.
It did. And I gotta say, like, that meant so much to me, man. Like,
yeah, man.
you were the first, and I'll say the only guy who's really gone out of your way to take me out and make me feel at home in a foreign land.
Yeah,
and
man.
it's like that set the tone. Do you know what I mean? After that, it was done. I'm like, okay, this is the man. This is it. Seriously,
yeah,
man. Like,
yeah, man. PamoJah, man.
Yeah.
I was happy because, I mean, anyone who reaches out and wants to know some place, I'm always happy to. I have friends who come from Kenya, and I would take them to Shamshipo. I would take them to places, and I'd feel great doing it because I don't know, it just feels good. Like, hey, you want to do this place? Okay, let's go.
Yeah, and you really know the place. That's the thing. You do. You know the real
man.
deal.
Yeah.
And
man,
and that was obvious to me right away. And I was like, okay, I really, really, really appreciate it. And
man.
and I remember, I think you DJ'd at the Hive. We came, maybe checked you at the Hive, I think, was it?
Yeah, I don't remember. You guys came to the one of True School.
Yeah.
The Hive, some places. I think so. I DJ'd a couple of places when you guys came, and then I was also DJing here when you came to Eton when they were doing the launch party, and you
Upstairs,
came.
right?
No, here,
Was it
the
here?
radio.
Yeah.
They were launching on the radio. It was playing live throughout the speakers and on the radio live. And you came with Daniela, and you guys were sitting there, and
Yeah. There's also something upstairs. I remember going on the patio, like,
yeah,
maybe it was around that same time, like,
yeah,
those weeks or months or whatever. But yeah, man, you introduced me to so much. You did. You really did.
Yeah, man.
It's like,
yeah,
it's
man.
priceless. You've
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'll say that for anyone who's like, I bet there are a lot of people out there who have that similar kind of like, I don't know how to say it, but I'm just super thankful, man.
Yeah,
So
man.
thankful.
I'm also thankful for you because when I went back home, and then I came back, and you put me up on all this stuff, and the Soho House, and a couple of events we did together with Heavy Hong Kong and True School, and it was cool. But I don't like playing after you because you keep your energy high, and then everyone is on the dance floor, and then guess who's next? It's me. I'm like,
Uh-oh.
How am I gonna keep up with that? Man, I've seen other DJs, their faces. I'm not gonna mention any DJ, but we've been in an event where you're playing,
Yeah.
and the next DJ wants to come on, and he looks at the energy of the people and looks at you, and it's like,
Shit.
and there's a DJ who came to him like, Ray, you wanna go next?
Oh no.
And I'm like, how am I gonna keep up? Anyway, I
But you know,
stepped up.
it's the, I don't know. I get the sense in Hong Kong that's like people love music,
Yeah,
and yeah, there's the energy and the vibe, but I think it's maybe it's like this in a lot of places, even Toronto, I'd say, but like to be able, it's not necessarily like it's got to be a club like we just want hit after like top
Yeah.
40 whatever.
yeah,
I think people are that come to the stuff we do
yeah,
are musically inclined. They appreciate. I'm gonna take the gamble and say people know their music here and they love it,
true.
and they love the journey that a DJ will take them on. So if it's high energy one moment and then there's a change in direction,
Yeah,
it's the DJ that's taking them on the journey and they love it. It doesn't matter if it's like goes from one genre to another, you know what I mean?
yeah.
But I understand what you're saying about the pressure. Like it's always pressure, no matter what time of night I go on, no matter what DJ that's on before me, I always feel that pressure. I always feel
Yeah.
the nerves bubble up. The moments before I'm up, I'm like,
Yeah.
I look at the audience, I'm like, okay, what do I have to do? And I just reassure myself, don't worry, you're here to do what you have to do.
Yeah,
Just
that's
do
true.
what you do
Yeah, man.
and have fun doing it. You know what I mean? It's in fact, it's like the best kind of virus. So,
So I think this is gonna be part 1.
yeah.
We're gonna have part 2. Part
Ooh,
2 is
gosh.
now we're gonna talk about the pandemic and after the pandemic and all that we did together.
Alright.
Because we are out of time.
Hey, look at what?
It's already past 1 hour. So
Oh gosh.
yeah, so
talk a lot.
I just wanted to no, it's cool. So I just wanna say like to thank you, because when you came, I was going to DJ for my friends, actually Jeffrey Andrews'
Yeah.
wedding.
Yeah.
And Jeffrey Andrews had given me a list of songs that I was gonna play at the wedding, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be what I'm playing. And he was like, don't worry, there's not gonna be any requests, it's gonna be cool, it's gonna work out. And I was like, okay. And then I invited you, I was like, hey, man, I need someone to help me with the turntables.
Bodyguard.
And man, thanks so much, you came through. Now, during the wedding, I got requests. And I got requests of songs that I had no idea
Yeah.
about them. Luckily,
Stress.
this time YouTube had not come out with ads before the music. Because you took your phone and put YouTube on your phone, and we got the song, and people are writing down on a list like, I want this song, I want this song. And so you would connect it and I would put it on the aux.
Mm-hmm.
I'll play here one song, and then you'll play it from the phone, and then I'll play here one song, you play another request, and you helped me a lot in that sense, because I couldn't do it on my own with a line of people waiting to request.
That was crazy, huh?
I remember, man, but
That
part of the job. I wasn't prepared enough. I was prepared, but I didn't have that expectation that other people would come and want
yeah.
different kind of music than I was playing.
Yeah. Weddings.
Yeah,
Weddings, private
man.
parties, birthdays.
Yeah. You also have stories about private parties where you have had the host coming and say, hey, you need to play what the people like, what this one wants.
Yeah.
What this one wants.
What
and
my daughter wants or whatever. It's like,
yeah, I wasn't prepared.
yeah. I don't know what your daughter wants. It's like,
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that wedding was unreal. It's in a cool venue too.
Huge.
I
and
was
it
still new
cool,
to
man.
town, and like I hadn't been on that side of the island, and
Yeah.
I think like you said, that's one of our first times like working together, right?
Yeah.
And it was just like
it was the first time.
first
And it was
crazy.
hard work.
yeah. Well, that's what you learn the most from, right?
Yeah.
Something hard,
man.
some
Yeah, man.
adversity.
Man, I'm so glad to have this podcast with you.
Yeah. Same.
I've learned so much things about you that I didn't know before. Like some I know
Okay.
about the radio and all that, but some I didn't know. And it's cool to know, and I'm happy, man, to be, part of what you've come and done here. And I'm really, really happy that I was there to help. I could have said, who's this guy, and just left. And
I'm
now
glad you
I'd be
did.
like, I wish, but no, man. So I know you got good nights going on.
Yes, and
I
we
want
have
us
to
to
do
talk.
one.
Yeah, I want us when you come back, maybe in a month or two, talk about your soccer journey because it's going to December. So we do that before, and then you tell us
Right.
what events you're gonna put on in December and all that.
And that's
Chinese
when
New Year.
Trinidad Carnival's coming up too, February. So
That's
that's when
it.
it starts heating up.
Yeah, man. So thanks a lot, man. Thanks, Robin, for coming.
Thank you, Rahyym.
Yeah,
Thanks.
man. Part 1, Part 2.
All right.
It's coming soon.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
All right. Big up.
PamoJah.
PamoJah.
Yeah, man. Let's see.